Hello guys, just wanted to record this video for you so that we can go over how me and my team were able to generate $385,000 in 60 days for this Australian fashion brand. So I'm going to go into good detail on how we were able to get them from point A to point B, which was $50,000 all the way to $385,000, and just go through the steps and sort of talk more about how you can replicate this for your brand, whether you're in the fashion space or not. So as you can see here, we're going to talk about metrics first, and then the background, initial process, and then implementing the profit safeguard blueprint. Right, I'll give you an overview of that so that you understand how we were able to produce this type of result in a very systematic approach. And then we talk about the outcome of that, and then we talk more about how you can replicate this for your brand, and just a few more important final things. So please stay to the end of the video because I'm going to give you a lot of value. So in terms of the results itself, we were able to produce $385,000, and you can see we had 145,000 visits in the 60-day time span, as well as a very high customer return rate. So this was relatively high, and this is at scale. So having a very good average order value is very important and crucial for high ROI at scale due to expensive ad costs. Because as you know, ads in general are getting more expensive over time. So there's going to be an extra emphasis on trying to make sure that you're able to increase your average order value so that you're able to compete and able to maximize your ROI. Because a lot of brands still have that issue of not being able to get people to buy multiple products from their website. So this is something that we always encourage brands to be able to do. So, and the conversion rate was quite decent as well for the average order value, which was 1.42%. And remember, this is 30.55%. So a lot of people are coming back. A lot of customers are coming back and purchasing. So this is also contributing to the conversion rate. So a bit about the background. They were an Australian fashion brand who were struggling to scale to 50K a month, past 50K a month rather, because their previous agency were not performing with the ads. So they were actually working with an agency, and they thought they were getting great results, but in actuality they weren't. And they will make a lot of promises and crazy guarantees, which I'm sure you know about, in your emails and DMs. So I know a lot of fashion and e-commerce brands have this issue where agency over delivers and make big promises with ridiculous guarantees. So, and the reason they struggled is because the agency didn't have a good understanding of fashion brands in general and their target market. So they ended up producing ineffective ads. So you want to avoid agencies who cater to multiple brand types. Obviously, there's not a problem with an agency having multiple brand types in essence, but it just means that they're going to have less expertise on a particular area. So, they may not be specialized for fashion, for example. And the agency may be working with homeware brands, healthcare brands, supplement brands, skincare brands, and they all have different needs. So they're pretty much spreading themselves in. So that's why you want to work with an agency who's catering to at least one particular industry. So they were interested in working with me, this Australian fashion brand, because they had seen that I had good case studies and with ads. So there's proof of concept there that we can replicate this for their brand. And I was being very transparent as well, which a lot of agencies are not when it comes to what they can expect from the ads and so on and so forth. Because a lot of agencies, they can pretty much make any claim, but they can't really back it up. And then they say, "Oh, we can give you a refund if we can reduce it," but they're still spending your money and they end up betting the agency brand at the end of the day. So, that's not good. So, at the end of the day, we managed to produce $385,000 in just 60 days with an 8x ROI. So, this is pretty much unheard of in the fashion space because brands use outdated strategies with agencies who don't know how to implement a good strategy or even know what they're doing if they're a beginner agency. So that's why you want to work with an agency that has proof of concept, good results, and is not spamming emails and DMs to brands every single day. So bear in mind, this did not happen overnight. It took us 2.5 to 3 months to get to this point, but it was an upward progression. So this is what you can expect with your brand as well, because if a agency is saying that they can produce results for you from day one, then they're not being honest with you. We needed time to understand all of the different things, which I'll go into in a bit. So now I'll go into the steps, which you can replicate for your brand. So listen carefully. So the initial process for getting this result was, upon onboarding with the brand, we underwent my customer avatar analysis. So sort of like a target market analysis as well. And this involved identifying who the target customer was, who the brand's competitors were, because that's very important, because we need to know who we're competing against so we can potentially look at what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and then we can iterate upon that. We were looking at what is the target customer likes and dislikes, because we can use that in our copy. We can use that data to understand how we can make the creatives better and retargeting, all those different things. And then what is the target customer's goals and desires? Very important as well, because if you're a fashion brand, you will tend to be more on the aspirational side. So you'd be looking to try and capture the imagination and kind of solve a problem that they have or a desire that they have, right, in the clothing or in the fashion piece that you're selling. So if you skip this step, like a lot of agencies do, this will make ads less effective, and they are not addressing the target customer in a personal tone, and they just won't resonate with the ads that is being shown to them. So this is very important, and this is why you will probably be getting low ROIs and high cost of purchases if you get this wrong. So it's important that you work with somebody who actually can do this systematically and is thorough with it. So now, after that point, we implemented the Profit Safeguard Blueprint. So this is just an overview. Obviously, I can go into a lot more detail, but that would take too long for me to cover. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of how we were able to essentially go into scaling this brand to the heights that we got it to. So this is a unique method that is kind of like a blue ocean way of beating your competitors, because a lot of competitors are not using this methodology, and it allows you to maintain high profits and scale in a systematic way and data-driven way, right? That takes your target customers' feelings and needs into account, because at the end of the day, you need to be catering to your customer and understanding their customer journey as well, because that's at the end of the day is what's going to drive the purchases and the low cost of purchases and high ROI. So once all of these were nailed down, so these 3 steps, because it's a 3-step approach, we were able to scale past $1,000 a day ad spend. So the step 1 is the awareness phase. We had the step 2, which is nurturing, and then step 3 is retention. Okay, so we began with step 1. Now we use this blueprint to establish winning ads and winning audiences. I went ahead and collected the brand creatives and started testing. So we worked with the brand owner and got their creatives in a Dropbox or Google Drive file, and then we went ahead and started testing these creatives with different audiences. And because this fashion brand was more niche, they're sort of like a brand that's targeting a smaller group of people, they're not mass market, then we had to use more specific targeting. So very important that you do that as well, because if you go too broad, then you're going to be reaching out to people who have low affinity to your brand's products. So this can lead to poor ROI and high cost of purchases, so and a lack of scalability. So here's an example that can be applied personally to you. If you are interested in women's sustainable fashion, right, but you are being shown ads from fast fashion brands promoting those type of clothing, right, fast fashion clothing, you almost never likely going to buy, because it's completely against you, what you like and what you dislike. So, it doesn't meet your interests. So that's what happens when you are shown ads, or when your brand is shown ads to people, is if you're not targeting correctly, you'll be shown ads to people who are not interested, and over time that can have a negative impact. So agencies try to go broad because in the agency space, a lot of agencies say, "Oh, it's good to go broad," but this is how they end up burning fashion brands and brands in general. So this is what we try to avoid. And then we had the second step. This was the nurturing phase. This is the most important part of the blueprint that a lot of agencies and brands ignore. They focus a lot on trying to get new customers, but you need to be focusing on people who are already acquainted with the brand, which is where a lot of your purchase is going to come from as well. Most website visitors and video viewers of your ads are not going to buy the first time, right? Because there's this principle called the 95-5% rule, where 5% of your people you're targeting will buy, and 95% of them won't buy for a period of time. And this particular fashion brand had over 300,000 people in this category. So these are including people who had viewed videos from the brand. They already follow the brand, right, either on Facebook and Instagram, and they already may have visited the website but have not purchased. So, or they may have not viewed product pages, usually, is what we classify as the nurturing part of the funnel. So I strategized a particular plan that was tailored to this brand to target these people with a stream of videos and content that educates and indoctrinates this audience over time. Very important that you do that, because if you don't, then you end up just neglecting them and they're not going, you're missing out on a ton of money there. So you definitely need to keep them updated on different products, different collections that you have, maybe sales that you have, but you need to keep them engaged because eventually they'll go down the funnel. Usually they're in the consideration phase, so it's very important that you're able to do that. And a lot of the target customer will not buy for months for various reasons, right? So you're definitely in this situation when it comes to buying products as well. So you may be thinking of buying a product, and at the end of the day, you may not buy for a whole host of reasons. So one of them, maybe you don't have the money right now to buy now, quite a common one. Number two, they are not feeling the product right now. They may not be interested in the product, right? Because maybe it's out of season or another reason. They may need more information about the product before they consider buying. So this is a very important one. And this is why you provide more content, you give them more touch points. Because at the end of the day, usually you need like at least 70 plus touch points on average to get the customer to purchase. So this is why you need to keep showing them as much content as possible in order to get them to convert. And they may be waiting for a sale. That's another one that can happen for those that are less quality of buyers. Usually they wait for sale. But usually you want the ones that are going to buy up front. So if you don't do a sale, that's fine. You just keep on promoting the brand without the sale. But you need to keep promoting content so they can get more acquainted with your brand, and so they can make a buying decision much more sooner. So yeah, there's countless reasons, but the goal is to educate them as much as possible and maximize chance of them purchasing soon. And then step 3 came conversion and retention. So once the nurturing was done or automated by us, then conversion should be relatively more straightforward, because now they have all the information they need to make the purchase. So they may just go purchase right there and then, but if they don't, then we do what I'll describe here. So this is also how we produce high ROI with our ads, because the audience already knows about your brand or likes your product so much that they want to buy it ASAP. They just need a little nudge with maybe a small discount or other perks, such as free shipping or over $100, for example, or some other information that we can provide. Maybe it could be to do with them saying that we can provide afterpay or Klarna, something like that. So this is what will get them over the line usually, and this is how you produce high ROI with low cost. So retention is also important. This cannot be neglected, as this is what you want to be focusing on, via email and SMS marketing. A lot of brands still ignore this for some reason, and you don't want to be one of them, because you're losing out on almost 30% of your total revenue if you neglect this part of the funnel. So it's very important that you do that. And the outcome of that is essentially where we scale them from 50K a month all the way to $385,000 in a 60-day time frame with this strategy. So this is more or less an overview of how we were able to get them to that point. So the most important part of this video is how can you replicate this for your brand, right? So what you can do is you can watch this video again multiple times so that it sinks in, because I went through it quite quickly and there's some details that you may have missed. So it's very important that you go back and get yourself refreshed with the information and then go ahead and apply it to your brand. Number two, watch all of my Instagram content, highlights, reels, and posts as I go into more depth on the strategy that I use to scale this brand to $385,000 in 60 days. And how we're able to replicate this for other brands as well. So e-com and fashion. So my Instagram will be linked in the description. So take a look there and you see all my reels, all the highlights, case studies. You can also look at more of the results that me and my team are able to provide for brands like yours. And you can DM me the word fashion. Also, if you need any help, and I'll personally talk to you. And a shortcut to all of this is that if you're a fashion brand over 30K a month in revenue and ready to scale these numbers, completely automated by me and my team in the same way, then please book in a call with me personally via the calendar linked in the description. Highly recommended, by the way, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is, if you want to get these results, the easiest and fastest way is to get someone to do it for you who's already done it. So in this case, if you want to get to multi-six figures comfortably in 60 days or per month, then the quickest way is to work with me and essentially get things going as soon as possible. And like I said, this can happen within a couple of months, if not sooner. So very important that we're able to do that. And only booking a call if you're generating above 30K a month consistently, right? Because it's very important, because if you're producing less than that, then ideally you shouldn't be running ads. You should be focusing on having a proof of concept, maybe through organic, and then combining that with email marketing, SMS marketing. And you need to establish that first so you don't spend and waste a lot of money on something that may not work. But around the 30K mark is where you have proof of concept, and now you can scale with ads. And the longer you wait to do so, in terms of working with me, in terms of trying to scale your brand, the more revenue and customers you'll be losing out on every single month. So, and it'd be very difficult for you to get that back, because they would have gone to your competitors. And this is what I've seen happen a lot with a lot of brands when they start working with me, is that they were procrastinating. And because of the procrastination that they had, they were not getting the results that they wanted, right? That they could have had if they had acted sooner, because their competitors were already scaling with ads. So by the time they came around, it was a lot more difficult for them to scale with ads. But that's in a situation where they were procrastinating for so long, and their competitor had been running ads for quite a while. So obviously you can regain that market share, but you just have to act much more sooner, and we have to essentially be more aggressive with the ads and give it more time. And so imagine if your fashion brand didn't partner with me, they would have lost out on over $100,000 every single month, right? This fashion brand, for example, would have lost out on this amount of money every single month, because that's how much we had gained for them every single month. So numerically, it is a no-brainer for you to work with me and my team, because at the end of the day, you want extra revenue, you want extra profits. And why do you want extra profit? Because you want to make your business grow, you want to achieve your personal goals and your business goals. And this is the pathway for you to do that. This is the shortcut for you to do that. So you don't want to be that brand where you're losing out on $100,000 every single month. So this is why I highly encourage you to book in a call or look through my content at least on Instagram, where you'll be able to gain valuable insights and applicable knowledge from that. You want to be working with specialists straight away, so time is magnitudes more valuable than money. You can always make money, but you cannot always get your precious time back. So this is why you want to shortcut it as soon as possible. You can learn all of this stuff, but it's going to take you a lot of time to learn the process and then implement the process properly, right? And then maintain it, which takes a lot of skill as well, a lot of experience. So this is why you want to shortcut it and just get to the point. Also, the money you will invest will pale in comparison to the amount of money you will make back for your brand. So a lot of the time, brands have the issue of saying, "Oh, it's too expensive," or "the pay up front," all these different things, right? All these different objections. That at the end of the day, you need to think about it as what is the benefit of doing this compared to what's the risk of doing this. This is pretty much low risk because we have shown that we are able to produce results. We've shown that we can add at least 100K in revenue every single month to your brand. And, what you invest in the start will pale in comparison, be very tiny in comparison if you look at it in foresight. So you don't want to waste time figuring this out. Even if you're currently working with a so-called good agency, which tends to be the case with some brands, quite a few brands. This brand also was working with a so-called good agency, but we proved that we're able to multiply their revenue quite comfortably because the agency wasn't as good as they thought they were. You may be even working with an internal team, so you may be working with freelancers or some other members of your team who are running it as themselves. But most likely, there's massive room for improvement that can multiply your revenue long term, right? Because they may not be experienced as us. They may not have the ability to produce amazing results like we do, right? And so you're pretty much giving yourself an opportunity cost there, a large opportunity cost, because we can pretty much improve your results quite quickly. But because you're working with a so-called good agency that you think is good and you don't think you can do better, this is causing you to stunt your growth. So on the call, we will go through specific problems that you're facing with your brand and your current situation that you're in. Right? Then we'll go into a tailored solution that me and my team would be able to provide and implement for you. So we're quite transparent. Okay, we go into an idea detail on what we can do for you in terms of trying to scale your brand to the goal that you have and the target revenues and ROAS that you have. And then after we talk about this, we'll agree to the terms and conditions, and then we'll pretty much get your ads up and running within the same week, right? Because after we agree and begin a partnership, we'll just give you the onboarding form. You fill it in, takes like maybe an hour at most, and then we can have an onboarding call the next day. And on the onboarding call, we just go through all the house cleaning stuff and just let you know how we operate and how we can make everything seamless and simplistic. Very important that we do that because we don't want any complexities and stuff that can make things more difficult for us to achieve our target objectives. And I like to keep things extremely simplistic, like I said, because as a great man once said, simplicity scales, complexity fails. And this heavily applies in this case, as we have seen with how brands are able to scale and not scale. Because I've seen a lot of brands that have all of these personnel, all of these different operations in place, but they are barely able to scratch 100K a month in revenue. Whereas I've seen others with 3x times the revenue, like this brand, that we had a very simplistic structure, very systematic, bare bones structure that was very simple and it worked like a charm. So please note, this is not a sales call, okay? If you're not 100% sure about working with me and my team, right, or you don't have the money to invest, right, do not book in a call because you'll be pretty much wasting your time and you'll be pretty much wasting our time as well. Because all the content, information I've been through in this video and on my Instagram is readily available. So you have all the information to make a decision. on whether or not this is suitable for you. So I implore you to look at my content on Instagram and watch this video on YouTube and my future YouTube videos as well, because it goes through all the information that you need to make a decision on whether or not you want to scale your brand to multi six figures in profit every single month. So if you are ready to scale your brand to the heights that you want to get to, right, then I'll see you on Zoom very soon, and we can talk about how we can apply this to your brand very quickly. Remember, watch this YouTube video and my valuable Instagram content so that you can be well informed before you get on the call. Speak to you soon, and I'll see you.